First thing I'm going to do is open a new project. We'll be making this in 2D. The same concepts are usable in 3D as well. You will just have to change any references to 2D colliders to regular 3D colliders to make this work for you. I'm titling this project Dialog System. I'll just hit create, and we'll just jump ahead to when it's loaded. First thing, as this is not part of this tutorial, I will be creating a quick and dirty platform and simple movement script so we can actually test our dialog system. If you want to get your hands on the script I use for player movement, check the link in the comments below. Now that we have a player that can interact with the dialogue system, we're going to start working on that now. Let's open her up in Visual Studio. Let's get rid of everything here. I like to start from a blank canvas. First, we want to declare some variables right away. Actually, now that I think about it, I want to go back and create the user interface game objects for that dialog system. Back in Unity, I'm going to right-click on the hierarchy and select UI and then text. I'm going to right-click on the canvas and create a UI panel. And then I'm going to move this text object I just created as a child object of that panel. The panel takes up the entirety of the screen. I actually want to put this object in world space and not as a screen overlay. This part is up to your own game's look and feel and may be better off as a screen space overlay, but I'm going to select world space on the canvas. Now I'm going to drop my only camera onto the event camera field. I think I need to change the reference pixels per unit, but I'm not certain which direction I need it to go. So let's first adjust the size of the canvas to fit our world. I know this looks very strange, but we'll fix this in a second when we change those reference pixels. Let's set that number to 1. Boom, there you go. Now it looks much clearer. Now we just need to adjust the edges of this box until it fits about the size we think is good for our game. And that seems to be about right. Perfect. I'm going to name the panel dialog box, as it represents the box that contains the dialog text. And with that said, I will be naming the text field dialog text, so I know exactly what that is without question. Now, let's find that text object. Where could it have gone? I centered it, but I still cannot seem to find it. Ah, there it is. That's quite big. Let's size this down and see if I can get it to work for our game. But as I'm scaling it, the text has completely disappeared. and I cannot seem to get the font small enough for it to show properly. So let's try something different altogether. I am personally a huge fan of TextMesh Pro. It's being integrated into Unity as their new default text system. If you right-click the dialog box and go to UI, and then select TextMesh Pro, then we will have a TextMesh Pro object that works much better than Unity's old text object in all scenarios. If the option for TextMesh Pro does not exist in your project, you can download it using the package manager in Unity. For instructions, check out the link in the description. Next, we'll have to import the TextMesh Pro Essentials. This gives us a basic font, material, etc. that we can use for our text objects. Great. Once it has imported, we can now see our TextMesh Pro text object. So I'm going to delete the old dialog text and rename this one to dialog text. We're going to go ahead and stretch it out so that it fits within the bounds of its parent. Perfect, but we still cannot see the text in the field. Thankfully, TextMesh Pro can resize to a fraction of the size. I am going to set this to auto size. But wait, I still don't see anything. Let's take that little box that says auto size options minimum and set that to 0. Boom! There you go. Text in a box on a screen. I am going to type a longer sentence, and we can see the font now is set to 0.3 units. So I'm going to set that to my max so that smaller sentences aren't as big. Let's add some margins to this bad boy so that we aren't hugging that border like it's our mama. Perfect. Now that looks like a dialog box. Now, we can proceed to programming the dialog system. So I am reopening my dialog system script. Now, we first need to create those initial variables I mentioned earlier. I personally like to serialize private variables that only need to be accessed from within the editor, but never need to be accessed from any other game objects directly. First, we'll make a private game object that we'll call dialog panel. This game object is the panel we created that holds the text field. Then, let's create a serialized private tmpro.textmeshPro that we can call dialog text. This will obviously be the reference to our TextMesh Pro text field we created earlier. Now, I'm going to flip over to Unity quick and set up those variables right away. As you can see, because they are serialized, we can see them in the editor, even though they are private variables. Now back to some more code. We want to set up our speed variables for how quickly our system will type. So we'll create a private float standard typing speed and we'll also create a ranged private float that we'll set between 0.01f and 0.1f that is called typing speed multiplier. So we'll use this when a player hits space and wants the text to go faster across the screen. Some people are quite impatient, right? Oh, and let's set some defaults. Say to 0.1f on the typing speed multiplier and 1f on the standard typing speed. We'll create a private float We'll create a private float current typing speed. This will hold the current speed if we want to shift back and forth between a fast and slower typing speed. And we'll want to make a private string text to type. That'll hold the string we want to type right now. This will change later to a list of strings in the next tutorial, but for now, this will get our system working. Then, we want to set up a bool for typing and set it to false. And a float for a timer that we'll use to keep track of how much time has passed, so we know if it's that time to type the next letter. Let's check in Unity to make sure we have no errors. And we are all good. Let's create Unity's update function. First, we want to check if we are typing. If we are, we want to type text. We'll quickly create this function now. So now, to type some text, we want to reference our dialog text field, but first, we want to check to make sure we have something to type. So, we want to check if the string for text to type is not null or empty. So, string dot is null or empty, text to type, and boom. If that comes back true, then we know there is text to type in the text to type string variable. Now let's set the timer up. _timer plus equals time.delta time. If you don't know already, delta time tells us how much time has happened since the last frame. So if it took 1 second to load the next frame, delta time would return 1, as delta time is in seconds. Anyways, so basically add the time that has occurred since the last frame to our timer variable, giving us the total of the amount of time that has passed since typing has started. If that timer is now greater than or equal to the current typing speed, then we want to reset our timer variable and, of course, type the next letter in the string. So we'll create a showNextLetter function. Here, we want to tell the dialog text.text to equal dialog text.text plus text to type of 0.toString. What we are doing here is telling our text boxes text plus adding a character. A string is an array of characters to the end of that text. So text to type is a string. The 0 element of that string is the first letter of that string. So we're going to grab the first letter of the text to type string and append it to the end of the text that is already in the dialog text field. Whew. Now we need to get rid of that character we already typed so we don't type it again. So we want to set the text to type to equal the text to type dot remove 0, 1. In essence, we just removed the first character in the text to type variable and we are ready to type the next letter. Let's test this out here. But before we do, I'll let you know right away there's one flaw we already have. Let's head back into the editor and see what that flaw is. As I hit play, you will see, oops, I need to make it where I can click is typing for now. So I'll just quickly serialize that and go back and hit play again. Now, as we are in play mode, I can click typing and you'll see that it's appending the text as we expected, but to the end of the word that was already in the text field. In our case, we didn't get rid of this text yet. Back in the script, on the start method, we are going to set the dialog text.text to equal a blank string. Problem solved. As we enable typing, it types. You have a dialog box. It's working, congratulations. But what about making it go faster? Let's do that now. Before our type text function is called in update, we're going to add another function called to speed up. Let's generate that function quick, and this one is simple. If the input.getKeyDown is equal to keycode.space, then we want to set our current typing speed to be equal to our standard typing speed times our typing speed multiplier. So now if we hit play and we hit space, it types super fast. Maybe a bit too fast. Now that speed is much better. But now we have a window that's just sitting here, waiting for us to destroy it. All right, back in code, we're going to create a new call to a function called press space to close. And in there, we're going to look for the spacebar input. If input.getKeyDown, keycode.space, then we want to, if text-to-type.length is greater than, oh, never mind. Let's just check if the string is null or empty. So if it is blank, text-to-type is blank. So if text-to-type is blank, then we just want to close the dialog box. So dialog panel.setActive false. Hit play. And oops, I turned off typing. We hit space when it's done and it closes. Perfect. Well, that is part one of creating a dialog system. In part two, we're going to create a trigger. A trigger in our case will be something the player collides with that then triggers the dialog box to show up. As well, we're going to create a scriptable object for the dialog triggers to make it more customizable and simple. Coding-wise, it'll be a little more complicated, but it's worth it. As well, we'll make it where the system can handle multiple dialog triggers, not particularly at the same time, but in order. And we'll also make it where we can say more than one line of text per dialogue event. If you enjoyed this tutorial and want to see more content like this, please hit the like button. Subscribe and smash that bell icon to get notified of my next upload. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, and thank you to all my Patreons. Here, nobody yet. That's okay. If you would like to support this channel and the game I'm working on called Misguided, which uses this dialogue system, check out the Patreon link down in the description below. If you want to see the development process of my game Misguided so far, click on this right here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys here next time on Debug.Log.